Stanford University.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to kick off our next part of the morning, and we have our first presenter, Stephanie Shih, who is going to be talking about rhythm in language.
So, when we're using language in artistic forms, poets, lyricists, songwriters will employ devices like rhythm, like rhyme, and alliteration to make the language sound better artistically. What they're actually doing is honing in on intuitions that we all share about what sounds better in our language. So linguistically speaking, this means preferences in sound patterns like rhythm and certain sound structures. My research is about how we use these same artistic intuitions in our everyday speech, even if we're not consciously aware of it. So take, for instance, the choice of names. When you're born, you typically have a fixed given last name. Say, for instance, Kyle.
Yes. Brilliant name. Great name.
So your parents are tasked with the choice of amongst a huge array of possible first names, choosing one to accompany your last name. So we have a bunch of choices here. In order to study what people do or the choices that people are making today about names when they're picking names, I constructed a corpus of roughly 41 million English forename and surname pairs, culled from publicly available Facebook user profiles. So thank you guys all for participating in my study. And controlling for many of the other factors that go into name choice, what I've discovered is that people tend to choose names based on very specific sound structure. So for instance, a name like Martin Giles, which is very rhythmic, is much preferred and more likely to be chosen as a combination versus a name like Josh Giles, which has a very irregular and rough rhythmic speed. So I'm very glad you're experienced.
Yeah, me too. I like Josh, by the way, but...
So beyond name choices, we're also using these preferences in sound in everyday spontaneous speech. So in English, there are two ways to form a possessive relationship. With an apostrophe S as in smell, and with as in the smell of feet. Using a corpus of telephone conversations in American English, my research team and I studied the factors that go into choosing one alternative or another in spontaneous speech. What we found is, in addition to semantic and social variables, preferences in sound, preferences in rhythm, also contribute to the choice of or an S possessive construction. So something like the smell of feet is much better rhythmically than a wood smell. And we're more likely, we can predict actually, that we're more likely to say the smell of feet. So my research provides evidence that these sound preferences about rhythm and rhyme and alliteration that we find popping up all over in poetry and music are actually just sort of artistic forms, artistic magnifications of linguistic intuitions that we all have. This finding that how something sounds impacts the choices of words, our choices of phrases, how we choose to order them, actually fundamentally changes our understanding of how we process language in the brain. So we know from psychology that things like rhythm or sound patterns actually hold lots of advantages for us as speakers and listeners. Rhythm, for instance, will improve memory recall. It increases the speed and accuracy with which we absorb linguistic material. And what my research contributes to is this idea that we're actually naturally employing these features of rhythm and sound in our communication and when we use them.
Right.
For more, please visit us at stanford.edu.